Cheltenham Town have had a torrid season so far, with relegation to League 2 looming over the horizon. The Robins started the season with no goals scored and just 1 point taken from their opening 11 games. Then Daryl Clark come in and he has worked miracles at Cheltenham Town to give them a chance at League 1 survival, as they currently sit 22nd in the League 1 table, 2 points adrift of safety, but they do actually have a game in hand. So Clark's come in, steadied the ship, done a good job, but I do not think he is the right man to take Cheltenham Town forward. I think I am. So we are jumping into FC24, taking charge of Cheltenham Town, and we are going to win them a Champions League trophy. Remember, boys, if you enjoy this content, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it really does help me out. Let's get Cheltenham Town rebuilt. So this is the Cheltenham Town team we have loaded into, and it's easy to see why the Robins are struggling so much this season. This team is bloody awful. The best players at the football club are Southwood in goal at 65 rated and Long at right wing back at 65 rated as well. We've got a very weak midfield, a very weak strike force, not a lot of quality on the bench. I am really fearing the worst heading into this rebuild. So as we know, in these rebuilds, the first summer transfer window is always disabled, and the board have kicked us right in the nuts. We have to keep salary growth under 5%. This could be massively detrimental to our season. Now, as we know, the team is very, very poor on paper, so we are going to go with a counter-attack tactical vision. I don't think we can use tiki-taka, as we cannot dominate the ball. The players are just purely not good enough for gegenpressing, so I feel like soaking up pressure and hitting teams on the counter-attack is the best way to go forward with this team. And I just want to point out, boys, we have never actually used on FC24 the 5-1-2-2 formation, so we're actually going to stick with it for this rebuild and do something a little bit different, meaning wingers and centre-attacking midfielders are completely off the cards for this rebuild. So as we know, the board want us to keep salary growth under 5%, meaning we probably can't sign any players at all in season 1, and the Cheltenham Town board just do not want to give us a break. They've only given us £2 million transfer budget, meaning our hands are so massively tied in season 1 in terms of finances. Personally, I think the board have just accepted relegation at this point, which is not happening on my watch. And to be honest with you, that £2 million and the 5% we're actually allowed to grow the budget by, it's going to go entirely into contract renewals, as we have got so many first team players out of contract at the end of the season. We simply cannot allow this many players to leave the club at once, so we're going to have to renew the vast majority of them, which will probably in turn use up most of our budget and most of our salary growth. So we've now sorted out the starting 11 and the formation, checked the finances, and we have chosen a tactical vision for the rebuild. There's nothing left to do but simulate forward straight through to the end of season 1, as we cannot make any signings this year, and I'm just hoping and praying we are going to see Cheltenham Town outside of the League 1 relegation zone. So we've arrived at the end of season 1 and we have achieved our goal of League 1 survival, finishing in 17th place on 54 points, 6 points clear of Burton Albion in the drop zone. I would call that a massively successful first season as Cheltenham Town boss, and now it's all about rebuilding in season 2 and trying to get into at least the top half of League 1. And I can't lie, lads, a little quick glance at the top of League 1 and Bolton have won the league. If only this would have happened in real life. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season 1, and as you can see, the growth has been pretty well rounded. Southwood has grown by 3, Freestone has grown by 3, Keener and Street have had good seasons in terms of growth as well. So all in all, the team is looking slightly stronger on paper, but we definitely need some reinforcements in season 2. And I'm thinking we definitely need a new centre-back to replace Bradbury, as he's 63 rated and one of the weak links in the team. And I would also like to bring in a new central midfielder to replace Kinsella, as at 62 rated, he is at best a League 2 standard player. And we have got absolutely no place for League 2 standard players here at Cheltenham Town anymore with me in charge. And throughout the season, we did have 2 players leave the club as they ended in transfer requests. We sold Ben Williams to Rotherham United for 570 grand, and we also sold James Olayinka to Amor Brietta for 490 grand. So in terms of stats, Aidan Keener was our best player this season, getting 14 goals and 4 assists in 41 games. Tom Pett had a good season from central midfield, getting 12 goals and 9 assists, and Rob Street had a good season as well, getting 12 goals and 4 assists in just 33 starts. So all in all, our goal for season 1 was survive. We've done just that. Let's now get into season 2, get some quality players into the club, and I'd been made up with a top half finish, but I'd love to sneak into them playoffs, you know, boys. So we've arrived in season 2 and we have got £4 million in the bank. That's a little bit better than last season. And the board have done a complete U-turn in terms of finances. They want us to sell 2 players, bring an important player through the door, finish the season without any unspent transfer budget. So they want us to spend every single penny we've got. And after not being able to sign at all last season, I've got no qualms about doing that. So as we know, lads, on this channel, one thing I love to do is bring players through the door on 2-year loan deals with an optional future fee at the end of them, and you can get some absolute gems using this tactic. And we have already made 2 excellent loan signings joining us from the blue and the red side of Manchester. First incoming is Jadel Katongo of Manchester City. He's 62 rated, 19 years old, and we can sign him permanently for £1.25 million at the end of his loan deal. He looks low rated now, but trust me, at the end of the season he'll be nearly 70 rated. Now, the player we've brought from the red side of Manchester has been in a previous rebuild before. However, at the end of the loan deal we did not have enough money to bring him in permanently, and that is Daniel Gore of Manchester United. He's 19 years old, 65 rated, really good stats for League One level. He joins us on a 2-year loan, and at the end of his loan spell we can sign him for £1.7 million. I fully expect him to be over 70 rated at the end of his loan spell, and I think that is an excellent deal for such a quality player. Now, after bringing in Katongo and Dan Gore, I still feel like our central midfield position could do with improving, and we have identified Ethan Erhagen of Lincoln City. He's 23-year-old, 68 rated, got excellent stats, and we can get him for anywhere between 1.6 and 1.9 million. I think this would be a very good signing and definitely elevates the skill level of our midfield. And for just 1.45 million, we have brought Ethan Erhagen to Cheltenham Town. If you can't already tell, boys, I'm having proper struggles pronouncing that name. Now, while we've been busy bringing players through the door here at Cheltenham Town, some players have actually left, and one of them might shock you. We have cashed in on Rob Street, who's left the club for Firth. I think that's in Germany, and they have paid 1.2 million for his services. We've also sold another striker, boys. Joe Nuttall has joined Colchester United for £210,000. This guy is National League level at best. I'm so glad to have him off the books. And we have also sold winger Jordan Thomas to Rodez AF for 880 grand. We just do not use right wingers, boys. He would have been a decent player for us if we did use right-sided midfielders or wingers, but we don't. So he's out the door. And that leaves us with £3 million in the bank. And I can't lie, looking at this team, I cannot help but think one more centre-back would really push us towards the playoffs this season. And this next player we've identified to bring to Cheltenham definitely holds some sentimental value with Cheltenham fans. In the 22-23 season, Cheltenham took Caleb Taylor on loan from West Brom, and he was absolutely outstanding for the Robins. So I want to bring him back to Cheltenham in FC24, but it's going to be a pricey one. He's 21 years old, 69 rated, so many play styles, pretty decent stats for a League One level defender, 6'5" as well, so he is not getting beaten in the air. However, boys, this is going to use up all of our transfer budget, as we're going to have to pay between 2.65 and 3.1 million pounds. He's on quite a bit of money at West Brom, but hey, the board wanted us to spend all our money. We are going to do just that and bring Caleb Taylor to Cheltenham. And we have pulled off an absolutely amazing deal for Caleb Taylor, signing him for 2.2 million plus Liam Smith, and he is now once again a Cheltenham Town player. And Taylor just slots in gorgeously at the middle of our defence. The team is looking so much stronger heading into season 2. Now, given the fact that the signing of Caleb Taylor has used up all of our transfer budget, there's going to be no more incomings in this window, so this is the team we are going to take into the rest of season 2. I expect us to be nowhere near the relegation zone this season, as this team's looking amazing, and I have got a little outside feeling, you know, we could actually challenge for the playoffs, but only time will tell. Let's simulate forward now straight through to the end of season 2, and hopefully we have snuck into the playoff places with Cheltenham Town. So we have arrived at the end of season 2, boys, and we've actually finished third in the League One table with Cheltenham Town. We finished on 83 points, but we was a whopping 12 points off second place, so rooted into the playoffs. We did actually win 26 of our 46 games, which is absolutely outstanding, but a big worry for me is that we did lose 15 of our games. That means we'll take on Peterborough United in the playoff semis, then potentially Bristol Rovers or QPR at Wembley for a place in the Championship, and it is time to find out if we have been promoted to the Championship in just 2 seasons of the rebuild. And we've done it, lads. We have been promoted to the Championship. We have beaten QPR 4-2 at Wembley in an absolute thriller, and we have worked miracles here at Cheltenham Town. We're going to be playing Championship football in season 3. So this is the team that has got us promoted to the Championship, and I have to say, what a signing Caleb Taylor turned out to be. He's now 73 rated, worth every single penny. Ethan Erhagen had a great season as well, going to 70 rated. We've had some really good growth from Dan Gore, who's almost almost 70 rated as well. Freestone's almost 70, so's Southwood, and Katongo had a great season going by 5 overalls, like I said he would. The team's looking really, really strong on paper. However, I do think going into the championship, the team definitely needs to be strengthened, and I do think we need a new striker, regardless of how many goals Keane and Lloyd have scored. And I'd like to bring in a young, high potential one with a lot of room to grow. And in all honesty, boys, I'm thinking a right wing back might be the way to go when we get to the championship, as Long is now in his 30s, is 67 rated, is not the best player. So analysing the stats, the player we're actually looking to replace when we get to the championship, Lloyd, has got 30 goals and 6 assists. I just wish he'd grown a little bit more so we can actually use him in the championship. So let's now get into season 3 and just try to stay up in the championship and bring some higher quality players through the door. So we've arrived in season 3 and we have got £6 million in the bank. And as we know, we are in the market for a new striker in this window, and we are actually going abroad for the man we want to bring in. Romeo Vermans of Club Bruges is 21-year-old, 72 rated, got really decent stats for a championship level striker, got really good potential in this year's game as well, so I think this would be an absolute no-brainer. However, we are going to have to spend a good chunk of our budget to bring him to Cheltenham Town, as we are going to have to pay anywhere between 3.55 and 4.2 million. He's also on quite a bit of money per week. I don't care though, lads. Great young player, and I want him here at Cheltenham. And for 3.5 million, we have brought Romeo Vermans to Cheltenham Town. So for our next bit of transfer business, boys, we are going to make the signing of Daniel Gore a permanent one, as he's currently here on a 2-year loan. At 20-year-old and 70 rated, he's only going to cost us 1.7 million as the agreed fee, and we've actually got 3 million in the bank. I want to get him secured to a long-term deal now at Cheltenham Town, because at the end of next season he might be like 74 rated and we might not be able to afford the wages. And lads, bringing Dango to the club has literally cost us every single penny that we've got. Convincing Dango to join Cheltenham Town on a permanent basis literally has emptied our entire bank account, and we have got nothing left in the bank. So I know that at the end of season 2 we did say we wanted to bring in a new wing back, but I do think Ferret and Long should get the job done for season 3. I feel like a new striker was absolutely essential in this window, and we brought an amazing young striker in Vermans. Dango's wage demands coming from Manchester United were always going to be astronomical, and I genuinely don't think if we would have allowed him to grow for another season, we would not have been able to afford him next season. But as of right now, we've literally got nothing in the bank, so this will be the team that takes us through to the end of season 3, and I'm hoping we've got enough firepower to keep us in the championship. So if we're at the end of season 3, and what a season it was, we finished 9th in the championship table on 67 points. We were just 2 points off playoff place, and if we would have finished on level points with Sunderland, we had a better goal difference than them, meaning we would have actually got into the playoffs. I have to say, lads, that is absolutely incredible of this Cheltenham Town team, but when you see the team, you will not be surprised. We have cups this season. In the FA Cup, we were knocked out in the 4th round by Peterborough United, and now that we're in the championship, we will start checking our runs in the cups. So this is the Cheltenham Town team that achieved the 9th place finish in the championship, and only 3 players are now below 70 rated at the club, and these 3 players will be players we are looking to improve on in season 4 in Long, Freestone and Ferry. We've had amazing growth from Vermont going by 5 overalls this season. Taylor's now reached 76, Gore's reached 74. We've got a really strong squad on paper, and I think with the right additions we can definitely try and get promoted in season 4. So in terms of stats, Romeo Vermont was our best player, getting 19 goals and 4 assists, closely followed by Aidan Keener, who's been sensational for us in this rebuild. He got 16 goals and 9 assists. So let's now get into season 4 and try to get promoted to the Premier League. We've arrived in season 4, boys, and we've only got £4 million, so that could potentially derail our promotion push. And one of our board objectives this season is to keep player salary growth under 15%, meaning we are very, very limited on how much money we can actually spend in this window, which has probably killed us. So our first order of business is to bring Jadel Katongo to Cheltenham Town on a permanent deal. He's 71 rated, 21-year-old. He's had really, really good growth over the last 2 seasons, and he's only going to cost us £1.5 million. I don't think he's going to want massive wages. And I think this is an absolute no-brainer. Let's make this loan deal permanent. And Jadel Katongo is now a permanent Cheltenham Town player, but he wanted £20,500 per week. Boys, I know, how greedy is that? And I do feel like this could push us to the brink of going over our financial objective, so we might have to sell some players as well in this window. And yeah, I did expect this to happen, you know. We are actually 4% over our financial objective, which has actually brought me to a very difficult decision. We are going to have to sell the highest earning player at the football club, and that man is unfortunately Daniel Gore. on 20.4 grand a week. I think if we sell him, we'll be well below our board objective, and we should be able to bring in some more players, because with the financial objective being a critical one, if we fail it, we'll definitely get sacked. I genuinely hate the objectives in the game. They just suck all the fun out of career mode. As Daniel Gore has joined St Etienne for £7.8 million, 5.5 added to the transfer budget. Really gutted to sell Gore. I really wanted to build the team around him in this rebuild. I mean, I have £10 million in the bank, and I don't even think I can spend much of it. After selling Daniel Gore, our salary growth is now down to 2%, so we can definitely bring at least one player in. But we've got to make sure they don't want massive wages. So amongst the madness of selling Dan Gore and bringing our wage expenditure down, we've actually brought in a very talented young right wing back from Lyon, and that is Irvin Lamane, who's joined us on a 1-year loan with an optional future fee of 1.7 million. He's really well-rounded boy, 71 rated, 22-year-old. This is a really good pickup. It's an improvement on Long, and this is definitely a step in the right direction after the disappointment of selling Dan Gore. We really thinking back, we really should not have made Katongo's loan deal permanent. He's taking 20 grand a week home at 71 rated. It was a big mishap on my behalf, and now I am ultimately paying the price, but I'm very confident we can still bring quite a few amount of decent players to the club. So after the sale of Dan Gore, we definitely need a new central midfielder to replace him, and we have found a bit of a gem on the free agents list. Theo Raymond, a 19-year-old 71 rated French central midfielder with very decent stats, currently showing great potential as well, which is always a nice bonus. I know he's not Dan Gore, but he is looking like a very promising young player, and he will definitely fill the void that Dan Gore has left in our squad. So after the signing of Raymond, our salary growth has only grown up to 8%, meaning I think we can make one more signing in this window. And given the fact we give Raymond 5 grand a week, and that has increased our wage budget by 6%, I would say we've got about 6 grand's worth of a wage budget to play around with to bring in a new player. So boys, we've had to once again dip into the free agent market. I know it's not something that I'd want to do, but with such limited wage resources available to us, I think we've actually found a really decent pickup with the very minute wages we actually had to play with. We have brought in Adrien Denis, a French 72 rated centre-back at 21 years old. We're giving 5 grand a week, meaning I don't think we can sign any more players. At 72 rated, I think he's a really good centre-back, and our defence is going to look a lot stronger with him in it. And after bringing Denis into the squad, this is how the team is looking going into season 4. To be fair, it's looking really well balanced. We have definitely lost the ability of Gore in midfield, but overall, we've improved in the centre-back position, and we've also improved in the right wing-back position. So for the small sacrifice of selling Dan Gore, we've actually made our team more well-rounded in the process. And do you know what? I do think Operation Premier League is still on. This team can still get into the playoffs. So Dan Gore wasn't the only player to leave Cheltenham Town in this transfer window, and I'll run you through the departures right now. George Lloyd joined Nijmegen. I think that's how you pronounce it. I probably massively butchered that team's name, and he's left the club for 1.2 million. Louis Freestone left the club for Germany, as he's gone to Bochum for 1.15 million. And we also sold veteran Sean Long to Familiar Cow of 920 grand. And that absolutely rounds off our transfer window, boys. There's going to be no more incomings and no more outgoings. We're now simulating forward straight through to the end of season 4. And I just want to see us get that little bit closer to the playoffs, or maybe even sneak into them. So we have arrived at the end of season 4, and we have actually snuck into the championship playoff places in 5th place on 74 points. Here's me thinking I really messed up the last summer transfer window. Turns out I haven't. We're in the top 6, and we have got a genuine chance of being promoted to the Premier League in season 5. Now in the championship playoff semi-final, we beat Luton Town 3-2 in a very exciting playoff semi-final to set up a tie with Middlesbrough, who also won their leg 3-2. And it's time to see, did we get promoted to the Premier League? We have done, lads. We have beaten Middlesbrough 1-0 at Wembley, and we are going to be playing Premier League football in season 5 with Cheltenham Town. I am genuinely blown away that we are going to be playing Premier League football in season 5. But before we check the team, it's time to check the FA Cup, and we were knocked out in the 5th round by Manchester City. Our best run so far. Hopefully in season 5 we can go on further and get to round 6. Now this is how the team is looking at the end of season 4, and I am really happy with the growth of some of the players, but that team on paper is filling me with dread for the Premier League. Our standout players being Raymond, Vermont and Taylor, with Katango, Lamane and Dennis all growing really nicely as well. We are going to make Lamane permanent signing at the start of next season. But now, going into season 5 and our first in the Premier League. We definitely need a new goalkeeper, left wing back, set defensive midfielder and a striker if we are going to be competitive and have a chance at staying in the Premier League. Just hope we've got a good budget, and I actually hope the board are going to let us spend some money. Now, in terms of stats, Romeo Vermont was the best player by far, getting 31 goals and 14 assists. At 79 rated in the Championship, he was a bit of a cheap card. Now, Aidan Keener and Ethan Erhagen had great seasons as well, getting 20 and 12 and 19 and 6 respectively. Now, it's time to get into Season 5, our first ever season in the Premier League with Cheltenham Town, and the goal is just very simple, boys. Stay up, do not get relegated. We've arrived in Season 5 and our first season in the Premier League, but we've only got £37 million to improve our squad, and we need at least 4 new players. That is not ideal at all. Now, our first order of business is to make Irvin Lamami's loan deal a permanent one. He's 75 rated, 23-year-old, and we can buy him for literally just 1.7 million. I think with the funds we've got available, this is an absolute steal. And Lamami is now officially a permanent resident here in Cheltenham. And we now have 35 million in the bank to bring in a new goalkeeper, left wing back, CDM and a striker. So we might have to sell some players as well in this window. Well, as we know, lads, we are in the market for a striker in this transfer window, and we have identified a man from Manchester United, Alvaro. He's 77 rated, 23-year-old, really decent stats, 6'4", and because his contract is expiring in 12 months time, we can get him for between 11.3 and 13.3 million pounds. Given the fact our budget is so tight, I think this would be an ideal signing, and we have brought Alvaro to the club for 11.3 million pounds. And after the signing of Alvaro, we're left with 22 million pounds in the bank. And in this transfer window, we're also in the market for a central defensive midfielder, and we have identified Jack Hinshelwood of Newcastle United. He's 75 rated, 22-year-old, very, very well-rounded stats, and we can get him for a bit of a cut price deal, as once again his contract is expiring next season. He's going to cost us between 9.5 and 11.2 million, meaning we can definitely make the deal happen, and we're going to bring him to Cheltenham Town. And for just £9 million, we have brought Jack Hinshelwood to Cheltenham. After the signing of Hinshelwood, we're left with 10 million in the bank, but we do need to bring in a left wing back and a goalkeeper with this money. So because funds are running really, really tight once again, boys, we've had to look to the free agents list for a left wing back. And we've actually landed quite lucky in Lukas Ulrich, a 74 rated, 23-year-old German left wing back with not really the best stats, but he is 74 rated and quite young. We're hardly going to have to pay him anything, boys. He's 5 million player value. I think this will be a really decent infill left wing back until we can bring a proper one in next summer when we have some more money. And we have brought in Lukas Ulrich on a 5-year deal. And lads, we have absolutely scoured the transfer market up and down looking for an affordable goalkeeper, and we've finally managed to bring one in Alexander Bobek. He's 76 rated, 23-year-old, really decent stats for a young goalkeeper, and we've only paid £7 million for his services, and I'm really, really happy with this pickup. Now, we have sold quite a few players as well in this transfer window, and I'll run you through them right now. Will Ferry joined Basel for 1.95 million. Tom Bradbury joined Craiovia for 520 grand. Luke Southwood joined Norwich for 1.5 million, and Aidan Keener joined Young Boys for 2.25 million. Now, this does actually mean, boys, we've got £6 million in the bank. So we are going to save that £6 million for Season 6. Our transfer window is officially done. We're now simulating forward straight through to the end of Season 5, and I just hope and pray that Cheltenham Town have stayed in the Premier League. So we've arrived at the end of Season 5, and we have managed to stay in the Premier League, finishing in 14th position on 45 points, a whopping 9 points clear of 18th place Crystal Palace. So we have done the unthinkable, boys. We've kept Cheltenham Town in the Premier League, and next season, Season 6, is all about progressing up the Premier League table. Now, in the FA Cup, we once again reached the 5th round, where unfortunately we were knocked out 2-1 by Luton Town. Hopefully next season we can start to progress a bit in this competition as well. So this is the Cheltenham Town team that has finished off Season 5 and kept us in the Premier League, and we now have 2 80 rated players in our starting 11 in Hinshelwood and Vermont, with Alvaro and Raymond not far behind. While the squad does look decent on paper, boys, we definitely need to add some new centre backs to replace Dennis and Katango, as they're getting left behind in terms of overall. And one man who's been completely left behind in terms of overall is Ethan Erhagen. At 73 rated, is a Championship level player. We need to replace him with a Premier League standard midfielder. So in terms of stats, our best 2 players this season was Romeo Vermont and Alvaro, both getting 19 goals, with Vermont getting 1 extra assist. Jack Hinshelwood had an amazing season for us though, scoring 11 goals from defensive midfield, and he also grew by 5 overalls to 80 rated. So a very progressive season on the pitch for us. Now it's time to start progressing off the the pitch, bringing in some better quality players, some better quality coaches, and getting us more suited for Premier League life in season 6, because I don't want to be anywhere near the relegation zone next season. So we've arrived in season 6 and we have got 22 million in the bank. Boys, we are getting shafted with the finances by the board in this rebuild. And to add insult to injury, they want us to reduce player wages by 25.5 grand a week. Are they taking the mick? So to combat this, boys, we've added Ethan Erhagen and Jadel Katango to the transfer list, as they're just not growing anymore. And if we sell these two players, that's 35 grand in wages gone. Then we can crack on with bringing some players in. So we have managed to sell Jadel Katango and Ethan Erhagen. Katango has left the club for Valencia for 5.9 million, and Ethan Erhagen has stayed in England as he's moved to Luton Town for 3.3 million. And that means our board objective is complete. We can finally start signing some players. But we've somehow got to use 30 million to bring in a new centre midfielder and centre back. This is going to be really, really difficult, boys. So our search for a central midfielder has brought us to Patrick Nuame of Fiorentina. He's 76 rated, 22-year-old, got pretty well-rounded stats of them all being over 70. And with funds being so tight, lads, we're not going to be able to splash the cash on a world-class player. So we're going to target young, high-potential players instead. And Nuame is going to cost us between 10.6 and 12.5 million pounds, meaning we can definitely afford him, and it would save a nice, healthy chunk of money to bring in a new centre-back as well. And we have brought Patrick Nuame to the club for 10.8 million. And this leaves us with 18 million in the bank to bring in a new centre-back. And our final bit of transfer business in this summer transfer window will be bringing a centre-back in to replace Katongo. And we have identified Luka Vuskovic from Bayer Leverkusen. He's 21-year-old, 75 rated, really decent stats. He's also an exciting prospect, meaning he can grow to near 90 rated. And we can definitely afford him, as he's going to cost between 10.8 and 12.7 million pounds. Given the budget that we've got, I'd be really happy if we could bring Vuskovic to the club. And for just 10 million pounds, we have brought Vuskovic to Cheltenham Town. And after the signings of Vuskovic and Nuame, we're left with 7 million in the bank, which we can 1, save for next season, and 2, use it to renew contracts and bring in new coaches. So after bringing Nuame and Vuskovic to the club, this is how the squad is going to look going into season 6. Now, it is looking a little better on paper. We've added younger, high potential players to the starting 11. However, I do expect us to be in a relegation battle once again this season, but I do think we've got a little bit more firepower and we should be staying up. There's also been no further outgoings in this transfer window, so we're now simulating straight through to the end of season 6, and hopefully we have stayed in the Premier League and the players have developed a little bit more. So we've arrived at the end of season 6 and we have actually regressed on the pitch, as we have finished 15th in the Premier League, but we was a whopping 14 points clear of the relegation zone, meaning we have definitely progressed in some sense. Maybe the level of the league has just improved a lot this season, but I'm happy with a 15th place finish and 46 points. I think that's really, really solid, and we can definitely build on that heading into season 7. And in the FA Cup, we got to the quarter-final, but ultimately met Manchester City, meaning inevitably we were knocked out. We lost 3-1, so we actually got to the quarter-finals. Maybe even we can win this competition soon. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season 6, and it is looking a bit stronger on paper, with Nuame and Vuskovic having really good seasons in terms of growth. We now have 4 players at the club over 80 rated, and we have got 2 players in Bobek and Vuskovic knocking on the door of 80 rated as well. So the primary goal of the season 7 summer transfer window will be to bring the average overall of the team up. We definitely need a new centre-back to replace Denis, as he's 76 rated and not growing, and I think a new right wing-back to replace Lumame is on the cards, as he's 77 rated. He's also not growing by much. This is entirely dependent on how much money the board give us, as they've been so stingy in this rebuild. In terms of stats, our best player was Romeo Vermont, getting 29 goals and 5 assists, and he was followed up by Alvaro getting 17 and 6, so our striker's definitely performing on the pitch. So let's get into season 7 and try at least to finish mid-table in the Premier League, and maybe even attempt a run in the FA Cup. So we've arrived in season 7 and we have got 33 million pounds in the bank, meaning we're going to struggle to bring 2 first choice players in. So as we know, boys, we are in the market for a new first choice centre-back, and we have identified Christian Mawisa of Club Bruges. He's 24-year-old, 79 rated, got very decent stats, but he is going to cost us pretty much the entirety of our transfer budget, between 25.5 and 30 million pounds. So we will have to sell Denis and probably sell Lumame as well if we want to bring in the new right wing back along the way. And we have brought Christian Mawisa to the club for 24 million pounds, and that leaves us with just 8 million in the bank, so we definitely need to start selling some players. So lads, I did say we had to sell some players before we could sign anyone else, and wow, we have done just that. Adrian Denis has left the club for Everton for 8.2 million pounds. He was a great servant, but we have definitely outgrown him as a club. And a bit of a shocking one, you know, boys, we have sold Alvaro to Napoli for 37 million pounds. The offer was just well too good to refuse, and we are now in the market for a new striker. We've also sold Irving Lamame to Bournemouth for 13.5 million, and we now have 56 million pounds in the bank to bring in a right wing back and a new striker. This is exciting. So before we get a new striker, we have found the man we want to bring into the club in the right wing-back position, and that is Brooke Norton-Cuffy of Arsenal. He's 25-year-old, 80 rated, got really well-rounded stats for a wing-back, and he's only going to cost us between 15.3 and 18 million pounds, meaning we can spend the majority of our money on a new striker. So let's get this man to Cheltenham Town. And we have signed Brooke Norton-Cuffy from Arsenal for 16 million pounds. And that leaves us with 37 million in the bank to replace Alvaro. And let me tell you something now, we have made a very interesting signing in the striker position. We've actually broke transfer strategy here by signing a player who's actually 30 years old, but I'm really happy with who we've brought in. We have brought in Gianluca Scamacca from Marseille for 32 million pounds. He's 83 rated and 30 years old, and we've got a very good deal on the guy. And you know what, I'm actually really happy with this signing. I think this is a genuine seasoned international striker who's going to add so many qualities to our team. I mean, just look at that team now. We've added Scamacca and Norton-Cuffy to it. It looks so much stronger on paper already. I do expect Mawisa and Vuskovic to hit 80 rated as well this season, and hopefully Bobek will follow. So all of a sudden, lads, our team is actually looking pretty strong. And after the signing of Gianluca Scamacca, we're left with 2 million in the bank, which we're going to use for contracts and maybe some youth players that we're going to bring in, but I'll do all that stuff off camera. As of right now, our transfer window is completely finished. The budget is gone. Let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of season 7, and hopefully we've achieved a top half finish at least, because we've definitely got the squad for it. So we've reached the end of season 7, boys, and oh my god, we have actually qualified for the Champions League in season 8, finishing in 3rd place in the Premier League on 67 points. We were 5 points clear of 5th place Manchester United, and I just cannot believe it, boys. We are playing Champions League football with Cheltenham Town in season 8. Our FA Cup run ended in the 5th round, being beaten 3-1 by Aston Villa. We really are not performing in the cup competitions this rebuild, and this is how the Cheltenham Town team is looking at the end of season 7, and it's now looking very strong on paper, boys. Every single player bar Taylor and Raymond are over 80 rated, with Scamacca going to 84 rated. Now going into season 8, lads, it's glaringly obvious where we need to improve the team. Raymond and Taylor no longer good enough, so they are being replaced in season 8. In terms of stats, Romeo Vermont was our best player, getting 31 goals and 10 assists, an amazing season for him. And Gianluca Scamacca was amazing, getting 25 goals and 16 assists, absolutely firing us to Champions League football. And now it's time to get into season 8 and get some Champions League quality players through the door. So we have arrived in season 8, boys, and we have finally got some money. We've got 101 million in the bank to improve our squad, and I think that's more than enough to bring in a centre-back and a centre midfielder. So we are kicking off the season 8 transfer window with a central midfield incoming, and we have identified Gustavo Sarr of Girona FC as the man we want to bring to the club. He's 25-year-old, 84 rated. His stats are absolutely beautiful, and he's also very affordable, coming in between 46.5 and 54.7 million. I think this would be an amazing pickup, and we are definitely bringing him to Cheltenham Town. And we have brought Sarr to the club for just 44 million pounds. What an absolute bargain. And as we know, boys, we are also in the market for a new centre back in this window, and we have identified a man who will take our defence to the next level, and that man is Thomas Araujo of Brentford. He's 85 rated, 28-year-old, got amazing stats for a centre back, but he is going to cost us a big chunk of our transfer budget, between 45.6 and 53.7 million, but I think this would be an outstanding signing and really elevate the level of our team. And Araujo joins the club for 49 million pounds. So we've had a very busy transfer window in terms of incoming so far, but we have actually sold a first team player. We have sold Caleb Taylor to Manchester United of all teams for 17.7 million pounds. I really don't think he's going to get many games at Man United, but a great move for the lad. He's been a good servant for us, but he is not the man to take us forward in the Champions League, meaning we're now left with around 23 million pounds, but I don't think that's enough to bring in any new players, boys. So we've arrived at the end of the transfer window, boys. There's been no further incomings or outgoings, and this is the Cheltenham Town team that will take us into season 8 and our first ever season in the Champions League, and it's looking so much stronger with the additions of Araujo and Sarr. I do think this team can give a really good account of itself, and I'm hoping to get to at least the round of 16, and hopefully in the Premier League we can sneak back into the top 4 again and make sure we're playing Champions League football once again in season 9. So let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of season.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
But all on a set, lads, we might have just jumped the gun on simulating to the end of the season. We've actually got a Champions League group to check. I know, Cheltenham Town in the Champions League. Easy to forget. And we've actually got Marseille, Feyenoord and Racco. This really isn't a bad group, you know, and I think we've got a really good chance of getting through it. There's only one way to find out though, boys. This time we actually are simulating through to the end of the season, and hopefully we've progressed through our group in the Champions League and finished in the top 4 once again. So we have arrived at the end of season 8, boys, and we continue to progress up the Premier League table with Cheltenham Town as we have finished second in the league on 74 points, winning a whopping 22 of our 38 games, meaning no matter what, Champions League football is guaranteed for season 9, and we were only 3 points off winning the Premier League as our goal difference was the best in the entire division. So hopefully with the right additions in the summer we can go and win the Premier League next season. And in the FA Cup, boys, we got all the way to the final, and unfortunately Spurs beat us 3-1, meaning our hunt for a major trophy still goes on. Now in the Champions League we did in fact top our Champions League group on 10 points. Unfortunately in the quarterfinals Man City did knock us out. We did beat them in the away leg, but it wasn't enough and they beat us 4-3. So this is how the squad is looking at the end of season 8, and it's looking absolutely excellent on paper. Our standout players are Sarr and Araujo, our 2 new signings, and Hinshelwood, Nuame and Vermont continue to keep growing at a good pace. However, Gianluca Scamacca is now deteriorating in overall. He's been a great signing to get us to the Champions League, but I think he will need replacing in season 9. I also want to bring in a new left wing back to replace Ulrich and a new goalkeeper to replace Bobek, as they're just getting left behind in terms of overall. So in terms of stats, our best player this season was Romeo Vermont, getting 30 goals and 10 assists in 57 games. Closely followed by Gianluca Scamacca, who got 27 goals and 12 assists. So on the pitch, the players definitely turned up. We just need to add some more star quality to the team and start pushing for trophies. So we have arrived in season 9, boys, and we have got a whopping £141 million to improve our squad. So bringing in 3 new players should be no trouble at all. So as we know, boys, one of the main priorities we have for this transfer window is to bring in a new goalkeeper, and we have identified one of the best goalkeepers in the world in Diogo Costa of Bayern Munich. He's 31 years old, 89 rated. Them stats are just Champions League winning stats, and is only actually going to cost us between 56.6 and 66.6 million pounds. So I think this is a very affordable deal, and it does leave us with a massive chunk of money to bring in a new striker and left wing back. And we have brought Diogo Costa to the club for just 54 million pounds. What an absolute steal. In this transfer window, we're also in the market for a new left wing back, and honestly the market is not the best when it comes to left wing backs. The best player we found was Kasum Outara of AS Monaco. He's 26-year-old, 83 rated, pretty decent stats for a left wing back, and he is out of contract in 12 months time, so we can get him for a great price, as Monaco would expect anywhere between 25.9 and 30.5 million pounds, meaning it's a very affordable deal we are going to bring into Cheltenham Town. And we have managed to bring Outara to the club for an outstanding 23.5 million. That is a steal once again. And now, boys, for arguably the most important signing of the season 9 summer transfer window, the striker, and we have identified Matthias Tell as the man we want to bring to Cheltenham Town. He's 26-year-old, 88 rated, insane stats, but he is going to cost between 110 and 130.3 million pounds. Now you're probably wondering, where have we got this money from after we only had 50 million left in the bank? Well, we've sold quite a few Deadwood players, and we might just be able to afford to bring Tell to Cheltenham Town, as sitting in our bank account we have got 129 million pounds. So we already had 50 million in the bank. We then went on to sell Gianluca Scamacca to Lens for 40 million. Alexander Bobek joined Braga for 20.4 million, and we also sold Lucas Ulrich to Arsenal for 24.5 million, ultimately leaving us with 129 million pounds, which is all going to get pumped into signing Matthias Tell. Talk about eye-watering transfer fees. We have just shipped out 120 million to bring Matthias Tell to Cheltenham Town, and we are now left with just 2 million in the bank. It's safe to say we have spent every single penny in this transfer window, but money well spent if you ask me now, boys. Look at how strong that team is taking us into season 9, and I am really confident going into the new season that we can proper win some trophies. So we've arrived at the end of the transfer window, and there's been no further incomings and no further outgoings, but our Champions League group has been drawn, and we have got Real Madrid, Shakhtar Donetsk and FC Basel. Now I think this group is actually quite favourable. Honestly, Real Madrid is a really tough tie, as we all know, but Shakhtar Donetsk and Basel, we should be winning both of them games. Let's now simulate straight through to the end of season 9, and let's see how Cheltenham Town got on and if we won any major trophies. So we've arrived at the end of season 9, boys, and oh my god, we have done the unthinkable. We have won the Premier League with Cheltenham Town finishing a whopping 14 points clear of Manchester City, and that is our first major trophy of the rebuild. And just listen to this, boys. Cheltenham Town are the champions of England. However, for the second consecutive season, we have lost in the FA Cup final, this time to Burnley. Oh my God. Absolutely heartbreaking, boys. But I know something that'll soften the blow. We are in the Champions League final in season 9 and we are taking on Borussia Dortmund. Now in our group, wow, we absolutely stormed our group, winning 5 of our 6 games, finishing on 16 points ahead of Real Madrid, who only won 1 game. That put us in great stead for the competition. We then got into the round of 16 where we smashed Sporting CP 5-3 over 2 legs. We're then beat by Leverkusen 4-1 over 2 legs to set up a semi-final tie with Manchester City, who we beat 3-2 over 2 legs to set up a tie with Dortmund in the final. And before we do check out the team that has won us the Premier League and got us to a Champions League final, we do have a bit of bad news. Gustavo Sarr did his anterior cruciate ligament. He was out for 7 months, meaning he missed the majority of the season. He's still going to be out for a further 4 months, meaning we will not be able to use him in the Champions League final. So it's a good job we had a really good backup in Raymond at 81 rated to take his place. This is how the team is looking overall, and it's looking very, very strong. We've got Tell and Costa at 90 rated. Araujo is 89 rated, with Vermont, Nuama and Hinchelwood all going really well as well. I think the team looks really, really strong on paper, and I'm just hoping we have enough to beat Borussia Dortmund in the final. So in terms of stats, once again, our best player was Romeo Vermont, who's been amazing for us in this rebuild. He got 36 goals and 13 assists. Mateus Tell had a really good first season at Cheltenham Town, getting 26 goals and 11 assists. Now all that's left to do is take on Borussia Dortmund at Wembley Stadium for Champions League glory. So here we go, boys. Wembley Stadium is the venue and it's Borussia Dortmund versus Cheltenham Town. And will we end this game the champions of Europe? What a ball by Raymond. Brook not uncovered. There's no one in the box though. Oh, it's got to be.
Nope.
Oh, what a save. That would have been such a nice goal, but Vermant's effort is saved. Mateus Tell. Oh, what a turn. Oh, what a goal by Mateus Tell, and it's 1-0 to Cheltenham Town in this Champions League final, and that was an absolutely brilliant turn by Tell. Look at this from Vermont, lays off Tell, brilliant turn, and it's absolutely rifled into the top corner by our 90 rated striker, and we have now officially got one hand on the Champions League trophy. Oh, no, save it. Oh my God, he's ballooned it wide. Literally straight from the kickoff, Dortmund miss an absolute golden chance to get this game back level. Oh, it's a good ball. Could be 1-1. What a save, Costa. Oh my God, what a save. Oh, this deserves a second watch. It's head. Oh, what a save, Diogo Costa. That's why we brought him to the football club. That's why we paid the big money. And that is half time, boys. Diogo Costa really bailed us out towards the end of the half. But we do have a 1-goal lead going into the second half. And now it's time for the biggest 45 minutes in the history of Cheltenham Town Football Club. Oh, Raymond might have had. Tell's in. Tell's in. Tell's in. Come on. Oh my... No. You are joking me. He did all the hard work and missed. And how big could that be at the end of this game? And 88 minutes on the clock. Dortmund are going to have an opportunity to swing the ball into our penalty area. Just defend it, lads. I think this could be the last chance of the game. Up. Yes. Count. Oh my God. Hinchelwood. Straight for the gap. Oh, they've got back. Noosa. He's at 99 rated. Oh my God, we're in the final 2 minutes of the game. What a tackle. Clear it. Yes, we've won the Champions League with Cheltenham Town. Oh my God. Wow, we rode our luck at times in this final. But Cheltenham is now no longer famous for horse racing. It's famous for being the champions of Europe. And it will be club captain Thomas Araujo, 89 rated centre-back, who will be lifting the trophy for Cheltenham Town. And we can finally say that Cheltenham Town are the champions of Europe, and that is another rebuild successfully boxed off. So I just want to say a massive thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it really does help me out. We are on the journey to 3,000 subscribers, and I will see you next week when we head to a completely new league, the Norwegian League.